One of the keys behind successful food photography is making that plate of food or the thing that you're going to eat the hero of the shot. And one of the best ways to do that is to place it against some contrasting colors or shades in the background. In this case, this tasty cookie, which is kind of quite light colored, so I want to photograph it against something dark. And I was looking around for some interesting backgrounds and I found this fireplace. Now, initially you might reject it because the color of the fireplace tiling itself is pretty similar to the cookie. But what drew me to it, firstly, was the fact that we've got this really dark section in the middle, and I can position the cookie in the picture so that it's surrounded by that, and that's going to really highlight the shape. I also like the way that the curve of the tiles matched the curve of the cookie itself. First of all, ignore the fact that the actual surround of the fireplace itself is just about the same color as the cookie. What I'm interested in is this dark section behind it because it's going to frame it really nicely there. So I'm going to position the cookie. If I put it here, it's too close and it blends in with the background. Here it's too far away and it's obviously in a fireplace. But if I bring it a little bit closer, you can see that that dark area in the middle provides a really nice contrast with it. It really highlights it. And when it's in this position, notice how the curve of the fireplace can actually be matched with the curve of the cookie itself. Just turn that around until that's looking really nice. Also notice how the lines of the tiles are acting as leading lines. They're drawing your attention towards the cookie, which you want to take a bite out of. And the other thing that really drew me to this particular composition were the fairy lights in the bottom, because I knew that would give me some potential for blurring them with a shallow depth of field effect. And to do that, I've switched the phone into its portrait mode. Now this is designed to deliver a blurry background when you're taking pictures of people, but it can also deliver a blurry background when you're taking pictures of biscuits or anything else close up. So I'm pretty pleased with the way that this composition is looking, but there's something lacking from it. And I think what's missing here is the actual tastiness of the biscuit itself. I want to demonstrate that this is something that you want to eat by taking a bite out of it. And you may think, do you know what, I'm going to do that with a pair of scissors or a knife or to carefully break it off, but the shape never looks right. If you want a good looking bite shape, well, you've got to take a bite, so I'm going to take one for the team right now. Perfect. So now I'm just going to frame up that composition pretty much as I had it before, but now the biscuit has that bite taken out of it, and you can even angle it a little bit so you can see inside the cookie itself and just see how that contrast against the dark section of the fireplace looks. And then take your picture. So it's looking pretty good as before from this distance. I pose my fingers and thumbs so that they don't get in the way of those lights at the bottom, and it almost looks like a phase of the moon or perhaps a cookie lunar eclipse. I really like the way that is framed by that fireplace with those blurry lights underneath. Almost like the stars in the sky with a lunar eclipse behind it. Okay, so let's review some of those pictures that I took. Here's one of the first ones that's technically all right. It's nice and sharp and I like the composition and the position on the frame, but it's lacking that delicious signature clue of the bite being taken out of it. It just, having seen the one with the bite taken out, this one just isn't delivering the goods to me. Here's one of the first pictures that I took with the bite taken out of the cookie, and you can already see that it's a lot more interesting, it's a lot more dynamic. It's obviously an item of food that I've started to eat. However, I've positioned the cookie a little bit far away in this picture. I do want the contrast of the fireplace, but maybe there's a bit too much. Maybe you like the grate, almost looking like teeth. Maybe you don't. I think I want to get a bit closer. So here's almost the same pose, but with the cookie positioned closer to the camera, and I much prefer this framing. We've got rid of the grate, that could have been a bit confusing, and I really like this very thin border around the cookie. At this point, if I'm happy with the picture, I always take a closer look, and unfortunately it's a bit blurred here, and I really want this cookie to look crisp, so I'm going to reject that one. Luckily, I took lots of pictures, and here is one that is working perfectly for me. I like the position of the cookie in terms of the distance and in terms of its relation to this black area around it from the fireplace. If we look closely, it is crisp, it's very sharp, it's angled so that we can actually see inside the biscuit itself. That makes it look even more appealing. And look how the portrait mode of the phone is giving it this nice shallow depth of field effect, nicely blurring the lights at the bottom into these coloured blobs. That's the picture I'm going to post, and that's the biscuit I want to eat.